I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle. Shockphobia Fest.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Shockphobia Fest, a month-long celebration of All Hallows Eve's most frightening films and comic spooks. And today, we have another excellent Halloween movie. It's gonna be it's a bit different to the usual ones. I don't really tend to do haunted house or ghosty stuff, but this one is absolutely fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it now because it is a classic. And I'm here yet again with my favourite spooky compatriot. He looks terrifying. That's why we do a podcast. We can't show his true face. His true identity will scare children and ruin the lives of young people.
There are lots of knives nearby. That's all I'm saying. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hello, you're right, Dennis. You're right. Hello again. Hello again.
Missed you. It's been so long.
I don't believe that for a minute.
I miss your shell-like ears.
Shell-like ears.
Yes.
No, I think mine are more elf-like, especially one of them. I was born genetically. Here's a funny fact about me. I was born genetically with a genetic quirk in my family from my mother's side. We have a flat ear. So if you see, on this ear, there's it's a little pointed.
Yes.
And on this ear, it's quite round.
Yes.
So it makes it look like there's part of my ear missing.
It does.
Initially, I thought this was from a childhood accident that I didn't remember because I had so many that I didn't remember. Bang your head. I'm quite forgetful anyway. But no, it turns out it's a genetic quirk because my mum's side, my nephew has it, my cousin has it, my uncle has it. So it's some sort of weird genetic freak that I am.
It's a shame your genetic freakness didn't give you powers.
I mean, I've got double jointed elbows as well. That's yeah.
Double. Oh,
yeah,
damn.
Yeah, they're on both.
I don't need to see that.
So yeah, I am.
No one needs to see that.
Yeah, it's freaky. I used to pretend that I'd broken my arm and it freaked people out.
I can see that.
Some people don't. People think it's weird. And at work, they asked me to point round corners.
So every day we learn more and more about each other.
I know, it's exciting, isn't it?
I just retain water. That's all I do.
Like a hydro dam.
Yeah, this is water weight. That's all I have. Yeah.
Fair enough. But we are not here to talk about our genetic frailties and disabilities. We are here to talk about 1980s The Changeling.
Indeed.
Not to be confused with Angelina Jolie, and is it Clint Eastwood? I think it was a Clint Eastwood.
He directed it, didn't he?
Yeah. That's known as just Changeling.
Yes.
That was from 2008. That is not... There is similarities. There's a similar thing that happens within this film, but we won't get into that just yet.
Angelina's acting is probably scarier.
I mean, just her face.
Help! Help! Has anyone seen Help!
That's not my boy!
That's not...
Don't know why she sounds like Mickey Mouse.
Don't know either.
That's a very scary premise for a film. But no, this is stars. It's a film by Peter Medak, Hungarian director, and stars George C. Scott, Trish Van der Veer, which I think was his wife as well at the time, and various other people.
It's not a big cast, is it?
No, it's not huge, but I think that is one of its strengths.
Yes.
I think if you add too many, because there's a lot of this film is somewhat of a kind of haunted house ghost story, but it is kind of almost like a conspiracy thriller kind of thing going on as well. It's got two of these kind of interweaving because it does feel like almost like a 70s political thriller,
Yes.
with a haunted house ghost thing, and it's good. But you brought this film to my attention.
I did.
So this month is usually about movies that are set on Halloween or around Halloween. I tend to I don't want to do just any old scary films, much like the Christmas alternative Christmas month. I want them to be set around that time, even if they're not, remotely about Halloween. And this one, I remember what we were watching it, and I was like, is this about Halloween? Is this set on Halloween, around Halloween? And then I was like, and then we finished it, and I was like, was there even a mention of October or the time of year or Halloween coming up? And we chatted a little bit through the film, so we might have missed the odd line, but it must have been like just a line or something to indicate it was this time of year, because we completely missed it. But I've looked through it. There's several Wikipedia pages, wiki pages, other websites, bloodydisgusting.com, all reference this as being a Halloween movie set at Halloween. So it still counts, Dennis.
Halloween brings nothing to the story, though.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's just set over the period.
There's no pumpkins, there's no bats, no people in costume. It's not Halloween. It's a Halloween film set around Halloween, but it's not really Halloween themed.
Yes.
However, you could say that maybe this time of year has brought this particular spirit.
The realms are closer.
Yeah, maybe the it's a bit thinner between the walls of the world.
Reality. The astral plane.
So, Dennis, you brought this to my attention.
I did.
Tell me a little bit about the Changeling. What's the premise of the Changeling?
Basically, I saw this film first off when I think I was about 9, 10. And my brother, as it usually is with me with horror movies, my brother made me watch it, and it scared me. Very few films scare me. Evil Dead's one that scared me when I watched it. Exorcist one scared me, and this scared me. And I think it's a haunted house, but I think in these days with haunted house, it's all CG, it's all this, it's all bells and whistles. Well, with the Changeling, I think what scared me more is it was very subtle. It's a very subtle little film. It's a bang here, a squeak there. There's this, that, and the other, and it starts with a big shocking event in George C. Scott, the actor. I can't remember the character's name. Is it Jack?
John, I think. I want to say John.
In his life, changes the way his life's going. Moves into a big house, and then things start to change. There are tidbits of things, little tiny kind of, bit of a knock there, bit of a bang there.
A noise.
The piano stops working, but then plays itself, and little things like that. But what always kind of stood with me was the banging, like the metal banging, like the pipes, because it's so loud. It's, you have your TV on like a normal sound, but that is so loud. I think the sound engineer, I remember reading that he did that on purpose. He made it a lot louder than everything else, and so it senses. But I kind of like the slow burnness of it. As a 9-year-old, it just scared me. As a 17-year-old, when I watched it again, I kind of understood the craft behind it. Yeah. And watching it as an adult, there's a lot goes into it. More than just a haunted house. Like I said, it's a bit of a conspiracy. There's this and the other. Is he mad because of what's happened in his life? Do people believe him? I love it. I think it's a great movie, and it is very much in my head, very much like a French Connection. It's very much kind of moody. It's gritty. Yeah. The kind of same sort of filters are on the films. It's actually filmed on proper film as well. So it has that kind of feel of a police kind of movie, a 70s police movie, because
there's a lot of investigation that goes on. It's not just like, we know this house has had horrible things, there's been known to be hauntings, this is a cursed house. We know, we don't know what has gone on in this house.
No, you kind of get snippets of it, and it basically there's an incident happened in the house, it's been covered up, and the spirit kind of wants closure. I think that's a good summing up without giving too many spoilers away.
Yeah, of course.
And George C. Scott's character is kind of slowly unraveling with the help of his friend who's helped him get the house, slowly unraveling a conspiracy around the death of this person. Should we say? But at the backdrop of his tragedy that he has at the beginning of the movie. I think that's okay. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's so, so he's kind of, it's almost like he's chosen by the ghost.
Yes.
Because no one's lived in that house for years. Apparently they shouldn't have leased out the house to him for whatever reason. There's some sort of, there's they're like, we don't lease this house out for whatever reason. That's kind of part of the conspiracy anyway. But yeah, I think because of the tragedy, because he's lost a child, because his whole family, basically there's a car accident and they're mowed down by a truck or a car, and you know he's dealing with that, and he's having flashbacks, has this little ball that comes into play later on in the film from his daughter, and various memories keeps having like PTSD.
Yes, yeah. So you don't know whether the sounds are part of his PTSD or whether it's actually happened to him.
I think that's quite good.
I think it's very modern as well. I think looking at it now throughout, like we watched it last night again for me to refresh. I've not seen it in years.
Yeah.
It's a very forward-thinking movie with the PTSD and stuff, and kind of the trauma, how it affects people. And when he's telling people about it, they're all saying, "Well, you've had a shock."
Exactly, yeah.
You've had. Could it be? And he's like, "Well, no. This is what." And so it's 70s movie, but with a very forward-thinking, modern kind of twist to it. That's what I think about it, anyway.
And I think it really was ahead of its time in. I mean, there's a lot of the director Peter Medak says that he was inspired by films like The Haunting, 1963's The Haunting,
great movie,
1961's The Innocents, as well. Like these classic kind of horror movies from like 2 decades past that he loved and that were really effective. And again, this is before the advent of CGI and practical effects and things like that. And I think that almost kind of gives it. Again, I think we've talked about it in the past where your imagination fills in those holes and is kind of more terrifying. And in this film, spoilers, but you never see a ghost.
No, never.
You never see an ethereal kind of white, floaty kind of, a version of a person. You see flashbacks to real events that really happened and kind of astral projections and various other things, but you never see what you would consider a ghost or the ghost in the story. And I think that's kind of more effective because there's all these kind of objects that are given life and the noises. And again, this is something that could really happen to you in a house. Like even last night after watching it, I heard a noise and I was kind of a bit like...
I remember as a child, 9-year-old, watching it, and who's not been in the house and heard a bang or several bangs, a dripping, there's something thinking what's going on. So it kind of really plays that kind of primal fear that there's something there, even when there's not. I just love the subtlety of it.
And again, it's like that presence, like you feel you're being watched. You feel like there's someone here. They feel like there's something else. That you can't tell me, believing in ghosts or not, you can't tell me you've not had a feeling or I don't feel quite right. I've got a chill down the spine. There's a point in everyone's life where they've had that. Even if they want to rationalize it as much as they want to rationalize it, fair enough. But you felt that way. And you felt unsafe. Yeah. You felt that something is there.
It plays very much onto that. Like the first thing you see. And again, modern filmmaking could take a leaf out of this book.
Yeah.
You look at modern horror stories and ghosts now, it's big CGI ghost or whatever going through all screaming at you and stuff, and it's all kind of like giving you straight away. You get the money shot immediately.
Yeah, bang.
With this one, the first thing you see is just a piano playing. Yeah. He plays the piano, key doesn't work, gets up, walks away, ding, and that's it. And that straight away, it's in your head. That's it now.
Yeah.
It's a ghost story, but that's in your head. And for me, it still has that kind of primal sphere.
And I think it's one of these films, like again with a lot of these kind of Halloween films, they tend to be very much like, it's a guy in a mask with a knife, that sort of thing. And like I know you're a big fan of the slashers and things like that. And this is very much not that. No. This is very much not that type of movie. And I think it's so much more effective. And I think, like you said, modern films should go back to this and go, look what you can do on a reduced budget. Look what you can do without showing everything. Like it's not, and again, it's methodical. It's a slow burn, but it pays off, and not a single jump scare.
And it doesn't treat the audience as stupid. It doesn't feed you. You've got to fill some of the space in yourself. You've got to think about the movie. And again, modern movies is paint by numbers a lot of the time. I don't mind that. Sometimes like it's a slow burner, and it is. Don't if you want to laugh, don't watch it.
It's not a funny film.
No. And I think I kind of, in my subconscious last night, I think I noticed in the movie only 6 smiles in the whole film. It's not, and there are some proper scares in it. There's some proper scares in the house. There's when he's doing investigating. There's a little girl involved in a scene, and that's proper scary.
That is scary.
And again, the little girl sells it really well, and
like the fact that there's no jump scares in it, I think, because jump scares can be cheap and fake outs can be cheap in horror movies. They're just really cheap. And then when I used to do like scare fest, like Alton Towers and stuff, when I was a scare actor, like it was a really great way to experiment with timing and how to scare people and how it would work. There's two types of scares that they would talk about. They would talk about the shock scare, which is like nobody's here, I'm here, or there's a sustained scare. And I always liked it when they saw me coming, like they knew I was coming. They were like, it's almost like Moon Knight, or he dresses in white because he likes the fact that they're afraid to see them coming, and I would be like, or I'd be still, I'd be very still, and that kind of scared people more than the jump. Like the jump only works once, and that's it. You've blown your load.
Yeah.
So to speak. I like it when they see me coming. But you know what I mean?
Didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't. It got filled. So I got more result, and again, like because there's so many people coming through, like you get more result off a sustained one, like a slow one or a gradual one than you would, because everyone thinks they're safe. And again, there'd just be times where I'd just stand there and I wouldn't do anything, and they're like, "Oh my god, what the fuck's he doing?" Oh, and again, because they're like, he's still, he's not doing anything, he's moving slowly, and then I would just snap out of it and then go for them, and then again, that was always much more effective because I'd done the sustained scare first. So I built up to it, I built that tension, and then I broke the tension at the best possible time, and that was more effective. And I think that's what this film does best.
There's moments of long silence, and the soundtrack is phenomenal in it as well.
Yeah,
it's piano,
really
it's beautiful. I think they released it a few years ago on like a limited edition.
Yeah,
but they didn't do it as like only 1,000. Were released because it's beautiful little piano scores.
Lovely score, he's a composer, isn't he? The character's a composer. He's rented this house out because he's teaching at the university, and he wants somewhere where he can write himself while he's also teaching.
It's very, very famous kind of composer. But I think the scares also help with the selling of both lead actors in it. George C. Scott, most of his scares in it are very subtle. Where the lady name, can't remember.
I think it's Trish Van Der Veer.
Van Der Veer, that's the one. Her biggest fear in it is kind of a bit more in your face.
The biggest scare for her.
Yeah.
Like that's the closest I think you get to a jump scare.
Yes, very much so. Little spoilers, the scene where there's a ball bounces down. Nothing wrong with that. Picks the ball up, looks at it. It looks like his daughter's ball.
Yeah.
Drives away, throws in the water, comes back, and then stands there. The ball drops again down the stairs.
Yeah.
His face is pure terror because he finally kind of says, "Shit,
something.
There is something."
Yeah.
Up until that moment, he's still not quite sure.
Yeah,
he's checking the pipes,
he's not sleeping.
Asking his cleaner. He's obviously still waking up crying and stuff. He thinks the banging could be old pipes and things. And the guy who maintains the house saying, "Well, houses are old.
Yeah.
They tell a story. They have their own little things as well, like a hit or something like cracks."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he's explaining that. So the ball was the first time you actually see Scott kind of go, "Shit, this something." And it's one of those, with me, I'm talking about it now, my hair is standing up again. It did last night, and that scene's always done it for me.
Yeah.
Just a thing.
I think it's probably the most, from what I've read, it's probably the most like influential scene.
Yeah, it's so simple.
I mean, there's various scenes in this which are like just I think the word is haunting. It is haunting. It stays with you, and it's like even like I've seen lots of films, and some films grab my attention, some things don't. But I was hooked. Like every one of those moments, I was hooked. And again, George C. Scott is such a phenomenal actor. Anyway, you've seen him in a million things. And this is a fantastic.
It's a lower key role for him as well. I think he's usually a big voice guy, big kind of stuff, and I think it's a lot lower key and a lot of expression. He's got one of those faces.
Yeah.
Like would you say, like very quite chiseled,
chiseled, kind of
not
gravelly.
Soft, is it?
No, it's not soft features. No.
He has a face that tells
again,
a story.
Again, like a lot of character in that face, and that only helps. And I think what's good about this as well, because we were talking about that, we don't see the ghosts, we don't see all the crazy like "woo, it's me," all that, that sort of stuff in that story. I think it grounds it somewhat in reality. And I think the fact that we see the ghost, it's more like a poltergeist, isn't it?
Yeah.
It affects the objects within the house that's linked to the ghost or linked to the child. And I think that grounds it, but I also think his performance grounds it as well.
Yeah.
Like, and it gives it credence. Like, it gives it the ability to go. Like, the finale is quite like out there, quite over the top. But I think it earns that finale.
Yeah.
Because it's slowly but subtly, ratcheting up the amount of haunting and the poltergeist power and everything. And it gets to that point, and you're like, yeah, I love this. I'm buying into it. We've had this kind of slightly realistic, paranormalist sort of investigation that's gone on into the conspiracy and stuff. And by the end, you're like, yes, give me more of this.
Almost turns into political thriller at one point.
Yeah. Which
is really weird.
Yeah.
But it fits. The whole thing fits really well. Again, personally, for me, this film, Exorcist, are two of the films that have the most influence on my kind of taste in movies.
Yeah.
I like a slow burner.
Yeah.
I also like the money shot.
Of course.
But I do like the kind of uncomfortableness of sitting in the dark, watching a film and just hear bang.
Yeah.
Ooh, or something scratching or whatever. And you turn off the TV, you get ready for bed, and you hear that and you go, what the, what's that? And that's what it plays on. And the other two, like Evil Dead's another one that kind of because of the sound effects and stuff. Yeah. That's very much
camera
influenced.
work.
Very much influenced the kind of my kind of taste in movies. And it just happens I watched them very long. So thank you, my brother.
Thank you for scarring me for life.
Scarring me, and
it's a form of child abuse.
The twitch will go away eventually, and the dribble. And every time I see a red ball, I pee my pants. Yeah. But no, it's a clever movie, and it comes out of that time in the 70s where people were taking risks with movies. We had a massive influx by the end of the 70s of different types of movies. Studios were taking risks on horror movies. Studios were taking risks on other. It wasn't the same.
Well, that was the thing. I was looking up like the stuff that was released around this time. And it was stuff. It was mostly kind of slasher-based stuff, and that's what was popular. We've come off, 1980 had Friday the 13th, 1979 it was Halloween, so it was all just this influx of slasher movies. Nothing wrong with that, but this was a callback to those classic haunted house movies and those ghost stories, those ones that really chilled you to the bone, the gothic kind of turn of the screw.
And the house
type.
of the character. The house is massive. And
the house amazing
of the
character.
And the scene where he walks out of the house and it's in bright daylight, but the house is scary. And bright day, you can look at a house and think, I don't want to go in there. And it's daylight. It's that the house is its own character.
There's even a shot. Again, it's not really. It doesn't really tell much of a story, but I really liked it. And he parks up the car at night, and all the lights are on. And you just see the whole of the mansion, the whole of the house. And again, like you said, it's like this, these eyes kind of peering out at you in the dark, like cat eyes or something. It's terrifying. And I think I'm not a massive fan of kind of ghost or haunting movies. Again, I don't think I've seen a lot, or I think I might, dip my toe in a bit more. But I like stuff like The Conjuring and Sinister and stuff, which I think every ghost or haunted house movie after this film has something to thank from this movie. I think this has influenced, even subconsciously or consciously, all those kind of films that came afterwards, because it has such absolute terrific effect on your senses, how you are, how you feel, just phenomenal. But I've always had an issue with ghost stories because it's like, what are the rules? I know nowadays we're very much this is the kind of a modern framework, like we need everything explaining in every film. We need everything explaining all of the time. What are the rules? How do their powers work? All this sort of stuff. And I like that. I like sometimes that it to be explained to me and go, okay, we can do this. And in Avengers Endgame, they're like, oh, it's time travel, but it's not time travel. We have to do it this way, but that's not. We can't do that because that wouldn't change. I do like sometimes that, but I also like the ability to leave some stuff that's ambiguous. Like, it's not quite, even the ending to this is fairly ambiguous to a degree. I like having that air of mystery, a mystique to a film. But yeah, nowadays we do seem to be like, why are we not seeing everything in the Star Wars movie that we should have seen, all this sort of stuff? Why is it in all this extended media? And it's like, I'm kind of like, does it have to be explained? Can we just go along with it?
And things don't have to be ultra violent for it to kind of
yeah.
Obviously, there's one particular scene which is quite shocking.
Yeah.
And it's really weird how your mind. I forgot that scene.
Really?
I completely forgot that was in the movie. And you watch it and think, oh, okay, that's
Dark.
You're not going to see that in many modern movies.
No, absolutely not.
But it's necessary because it explains the angst and stuff, what's going on.
The anger behind the spirit,
all the stuff with it,
the vengefulness.
But I was saying about the time about movies came out, you get The Omen as well.
Yeah.
You know, again, these kind of movies, and you go and Google any kind of modern horror director and say top 5 films, Changeling's in there.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're all in there.
Well, in fact, there's a lot of people love this movie, like across the board. So, for example, Martin Scorsese loves it so much he has a 35mm print of it in his house. That's how much he likes that movie. It's in his top 11 scariest movies ever. Guillermo del Toro ran up to Peter Medak at the BAFTAs, and he was like, I love you, let me talk to you. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's like The Changeling, it's like one of my favourite movies, you're amazing. And he's like, okay. The director's like, thank you, whoever you are. And again, we've seen the amazing kind of horror work he's done, the creature work he's done.
He does a lot of the subtlety stuff as well, doesn't he?
I think there's a lot. I've not seen some of his more ghosty ones.
Yeah.
Is it the Devil's something?
Yeah, even in Pan's Labyrinth.
There's
a little bit of that kind of
there is
subtlety in there. I know you have the monster stuff, but you have this little
and you also have the ultra violence as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's nice. But
and Neve Campbell from Scream, one of her scariest movies, she says. But yeah, it has a huge influence. Spielberg, the seance in this film is really powerful.
Yes.
Is one of the more iconic scenes. And Spielberg was like, well, I'm doing Poltergeist. We're going to have a seance in it. It's going to happen. And he like wholeheartedly says, I took that idea.
And talking about the realism, that the seance scene it looks real.
Yeah.
It's good.
You believe it as well.
Yeah.
It's believable.
It's no Ouija board, none of that rubbish. And then he listens.
Why would they get out a board game, Dennis? Why would you get out a board game?
Don't know. I like a bit of Scrabble. Scrabble with my ghosts.
I think if I was doing a horror film, I would play Scrabble instead of have the Ouija board, and they would they'd be like, that's not even a word.
Yeah,
that doesn't count.
Yeah, fuck off, Dan. Right, that's not a double word. You can't use names. Can't use names.
Can't have that.
Through modern eyes, through an adult's eyes, it still has this. Like Exorcist, there are scenes in Exorcist to this day that still affect me. Right, and I've watched billions of horror movies. There are scenes in Evil Dead, even though now it's cheap and whatever. There were certain bits in Evil Dead that still scare me.
Yeah,
because I revert back to that kid on in the lounge with my brother watching a horror movie.
Yeah,
this is the same. That ball again, talking about hair stuff. The scenes what stay with me, and it's very much influenced kind of it got me into movies. Why I enjoy movies is movies like this, and don't go into it expecting to kind of fast pace. Ding ding ding. It's not that sort of movie.
It's a thinker.
You've got to invest in the character. You've got to invest in them because their fear becomes your fear.
It's not a long movie either.
No.
It's not a long movie, but it's methodical in its pace.
Yeah, you need to invest in it. And again, most movies these days just 90. When's the last time we had a 90-minute movie which kind of just finished? Satisfied with that. That was good.
Yeah, exactly. You're fulfilled.
But they have influenced my kind of taste in movies. I wish they'd done a black and white version of it.
Yeah, I can see why, because of all the influences.
I think the wheelchair would look great.
Yeah, that wheelchair would look good.
Yeah, I think it would look right. If anyone does a restoration of it, do one in black and white, because I think the mood of it would be, especially the house. It'd
be like the Changeling noir.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
They'd have to cheapen it, do you? But I do, and it does have this kind of gothic. Are you saying gothic thing? So black and white would fix it. And I also like the fact that we watched it on Amazon Prime, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it might have been Shudder or Arrow Video, the channel.
They've
within
not
Amazon.
4K'd it. They've not super enhanced anything. It's still grainy. And I think some movies need to be grainy. I think that movie, 4K,
the quality is still good. I will say it's not. I've watched some things on Amazon.
It's not VHS.
Yeah,
right. It's not tracking. You get on your hands and knees. But it's like when we watch the kind of Universal movie monsters.
Yeah,
on Blu-ray. I much prefer them on video because I like the graininess. I want to hear the kind of noise, the crackling and stuff, because I think that adds to the movie.
That's what I always liked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is that it kind of looks like a snuff film.
Yeah,
and it feels like it could be a snuff film, and that's because of the grainy and the dirt and the grime on it, and like the sounds that come off it as well.
And I think with the Changeling, because it is sounds you don't see as lot, I think the graininess almost gives it kind of like a sheen, like almost like misty kind of quality to it as well. And not so much that you're not going to see anything, but it just adds something. You can't see around the corner. You can't see what's going on, and I like that. And when he looks up, the scene when he looks upstairs, it's completely darkness and the ball bounces down. 4K, you're going to see bits of stuff which you don't want to see.
Yeah, and even it's as simple as like a door opening. There's a scene where he's playing the piano. And I think sometimes we get a kind of a POV shot of the ghost.
Yes, yeah.
And we see it, and then this door just kind of goes. And like that was spine chilling in itself. And all it is someone just going, just push that door now. Just go on, just push it.
Malcolm, you're in the shot. Get down.
Your boom's in it. So that's all it was, and it's as simple as that, but it's effective.
At that point, he gets up. Is the cleaner in there? No, it's just me. He's like, okay, you open the door, the wind blew it. Sit down, carry on with me piano. And there are nuggets all the way through, like the music box and little things like that, which kind of move on. And there's an old lady.
They find the old room, don't they? He finds there's some glass flies out of a window, and he's like, "Oh, this is
red.
It's only red. Yeah, it doesn't look like any of the other windows." And then he's like, "Oh, it's that room," and he's trying to find that specific room.
And very early on, there's an older lady who works for this historical society who owns the property, who says, "Shouldn't move in the house. Shouldn't go in the house. It shouldn't be leased here. It shouldn't be lived in."
Yeah,
it's like, why?
There's a mistake with your paperwork.
Yeah, why shouldn't it be lived in? Not gonna tell you.
Yeah, and he's like, oh right, so there has been problems. There has been stuff going on in that house. It's like it doesn't want anyone to live there.
Yeah, the house doesn't want anyone to live there.
Well, she's basically the old you're doomed. You're all doomed. And then good old crazy Ralph
can't find records of the house past a certain date, and there's little things like that which are very modern storytelling tropes, but then very simple door opening, door shutting as well. That scene where the doors basically just slamming doors.
Yeah.
And it explains what the pipe noise is. I'm not going to tell people.
No,
but it's good.
It's all good. It's
stuff. It's good stuff.
But yeah, he finds that little room, and it's like this kind of blocked up room, like it's boarded off.
Yeah, padlock on it.
Yeah, big padlock on it as well. So, and I like him when he's slamming the hammer on the padlock. It's like bong, bong.
Again, how loud is that noise?
Bong, yeah.
How many times do I have to turn it down last night? And I read about I said that the sound guy, all the noises, he made them a lot louder than everything else in the whole movie. So even banging on the padlock was so much louder than anything else. It's all there to kind of mess with your senses. So you imagine being in a cinema, dark, big speakers, that bounding.
Yeah,
would really kind of affect you, innit? So it's all about the sensual stuff as well, so which I like.
And then some people probably would have been quite uncomfortable by that.
Yeah.
But that, again, that's the effect that the director wants, the sound engineer wants.
He wants to be uncomfortable.
He wants you to feel uncomfortable because it's an uncomfortable story. It's a horrible backstory to this whole thing.
But
it's
on both
horrific.
sides of just George Scott's character and what's happened to him, and is that why he's there? Is that why the kind of spirit or presence has chosen him? Is it this? Is it that? Turns out slightly different.
Yeah. This film, like at the time, this film was, I don't think it did as well at the box office initially. By then, I think over time it did like
become a cult classic. I think it made 12 million. But the budget was next to nothing, about $1 million or 500,000. It wasn't.
So it wasn't as big as they thought it would be. But it wasn't a flop.
But it was one of those movies that were the first of a generation of movies.
Yeah, of course.
It's always the first ones that kind of don't do well.
And also, again, that's not what was popular at the time. That was not what, because I think everyone was looking for their next Halloween and their next Texas Chainsaw.
Even you look at it was like war movies were doing well. That, kind of the like I said, French Connection types of the police stuff, Dirty Harry and things like that. They were the sort of movies, but the mood of America was changing. There was lots of things changing, and this kind of people wanted these sort of movies. They wanted these sort of horror movies. What came out,
but however, it's still because it's a Canadian production, mostly a Canadian production. I think at that point in history, there was like a massive tax break on Canadian film.
Still do, don't
So,
they?
yeah, I think they do still have. But at that point, it was like really low. That's why you get like people like Cronenberg coming through, and a few other people, and a lot of kind of Canucksploitation films coming through. Good stuff as well, like really cool stuff coming out.
The Canadian Council, Art Council, used to pay for movies to be made.
Yeah,
that's Cronenberg's first thing, and he made
Is it Shivers?
a sex slug, and he had to go and kind of justify it to the.
I've met a few of those, I think.
Yeah, I married one.
Oh, Sarah. Oh, Sarah.
I encourage anyone who likes a good movie. Not even a good horror movie, but
a genuinely good
film.
movie. Yeah.
Good characters. That this is George C. Scott at the height of his powers.
Yeah.
This is him dominate, and there's a lot of scenes he's the only person in the scene.
Yeah.
And he dominates the screen.
Yeah. Like, not for a second do you... Like, I believe that George Scott is there. I believe he's reacting to a ghost. I believe that the ghost is there. That's why I say it's quite grounded while still being a very fantastical film.
Yeah.
You know?
And then when he's listening to the recordings, he's like...
yes. What?
And you can see him going... You can see his head going around. He's writing it all down, and it's just great.
It's just like, great. To be honest, like, for me, like, the whole film is great, but there's all the key haunting sequences are all vastly different and are all so well done. Like the again, it's voices and sounds and objects. That's it.
Yeah.
That is all that you need in this film to create the atmosphere. You know, it's the music as well, obviously on top of that. But that is it's just so effective.
And I think bringing it like modern day, I think the nearest kind of, I know it has effects in it, but kind of the host.
Yeah,
on Shudder at the moment, it's an hour long. Everything's practical, and a lot of that is bangs, this, that, and the other. Really kind of like simple effects, but it's scary. It's good.
Yeah,
and that's what we need. I think audiences treat us as stupid. And okay, some are, but we're not.
Yeah.
I think we need clever movies at times. I think we need clever horror movies.
Yeah.
And it's weird because most people probably listening are used to me like in slasher movies and kind of like. No brainer, kind of
blood, gore, and boobs.
Yeah, but I do like longer movies. I do all kind of slower paced movies and stuff. I do like that.
Even Halloween was a slow burn.
Yeah,
and that's what I like. That's what I like about Halloween.
Most people in their head,
it's quote unquote dull.
Yeah, well, I think most people forget Halloween. I think when they think about Halloween, they think about Halloween 2, 3, 4, whatever. And that's in their head. But when they watch Halloween, they think, it's a guy hiding around a bush for most of it.
Yeah,
going hello.
Yeah.
Again.
But that's why I quite like that. That original Michael Myers is quite playful as well. Yeah. Like you don't really see that in a lot of the other films. He doesn't make jokes and stuff.
It's one of those like Mandela effect things.
Yeah.
People forget
what it's like.
That the first movie, for most of the movie, there's nothing happens apart from walking around and long sweeping shots of the garage.
It's only in the last maybe 10, 15 minutes where it really ramps up the action.
Lots of shots of driveways.
A lot of the other stuff is done, in shadow or off screen. For the most part,
it's not even gory.
No, and again, it's. I'd argue it's more of a ghost.
Yeah,
because he's the shape. He's known as the shape.
Very similar to Chainsaw Massacre. Everyone's kind of preconception of that is gore. Bits of flying off. No, not at all.
Even the chainsaw sequence, which there is only one chainsaw kill. It's blood is just being like it's just flicked.
Yeah, blood
is being flicked. But again, it's like Psycho. You don't see the penetration. You don't see him limbs cut off or anything. It's your imagination again, filling in those blanks.
The sound guy on that did the scene when they're taking the pictures. And it's and just a flash.
Yeah,
and that's to do. It's getting your senses.
Yeah,
it's making you feel uncomfortable. And setting that kind of sort of stuff.
That tension is getting you tense.
Yeah, and these kind of directors who came through. That's what they wanted. This was slightly different because it was a studio movie, so they did have they
had a budget,
but they were still set in the same sort of we want to kind of keep costs down, want to kind of do the best we can, and we want to scare the shit out of people, and it succeeded.
Going back to it being award-winning, it's an award-winning film because back in the day they had these Canadian Oscars. I think they were called the Canadian Film Awards or Canadian Film Institute Awards, something like that. They were renamed that year as the Genie Awards or the Genies. And The Changeling had 10 nominations. It won 8.
Okay.
So that just goes to show.
Did it win best score?
I'm not sure. I don't have the details. Probably.
I bet it did.
It's probably it probably didn't. It probably like best makeup. It didn't win because there wasn't really any, or stuff like that. It probably but that's a lot. That's like if that was the Oscars.
Like Ben Hur territory.
Exactly. You're talking right. It's just a landslide, really. They've got to go. Well, somebody else kind of has to win something, but that's a landslide by huge margin. And again, like great reviews everywhere. I think. What did you say? How does it do online in reviews? You looked them up, didn't you?
It needs better. I think it's 83 on Rotten Tomatoes.
83%. Okay,
yes,
yeah,
and 7.2 on IMDb.
IMDb. I think it was a 70 something on Metacritic. As
I think the problem with both scoring systems is now based on modern audiences.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of these older films get reappraised as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of reappraisals. Like, well, we're doing a reappraisal now, effectively, of all these kind of films.
Yeah, I don't think Sarah wouldn't like it because it's too slow for her.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the long westerns I watch and stuff like that. So she would give it a lower. I think she likes a bit of spoon feeding.
Yeah.
She like you with rules and stuff. She sometimes
likes that. Yeah.
And I don't think kind of like Sarah's mates, Amy's mates would sit down and watch. They'd rather watch The Conjuring. I hate The Conjuring, by the way. Yeah. I absolutely detest it.
Oh, I went to see it with a date actually a while back now when it came out, and I remember we both were wetting ourselves. When the girl was just hitting her head against the wardrobe, we were absolutely. And then the noise came again. And I looked at it. I was like, she better not be doing it again. And she fucking is. She's just like, doof, 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 doof. And I found it hilarious.
I just think it's just they would rather watch them and Annabelle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think if I sat down with Amy and she's quite
wouldn't have the same.
She
appreciation.
might like it because I like it and I could explain stuff, but I don't think so. I think these scores, people watch them thinking, like we looked at the best horror movie, best Halloween horror movie. Oh, we'll watch this one, work our way through. And they're like, is this it? It's just a ball, but it's not. It's the whole thing around it.
And I think it's one of those ones you can't. A lot of people will get their phone out, look at their phone when watching a film. It's one you do have to give it the time, give it the attention, focus, turn the lights off if you have to give it just.
I always turn the lights off when watching films.
I know, it's worrying.
Always,
it's about to become its own horror film. Don't hurt me.
It's not nice. You're not me real, Dad. He's only sleeping.
So we looked into this a little bit. I did a little bit of research into this, and I said today, I think I heard it was based off a true story. Like a lot of these are. I think it's something like has to be like only like 20% true. Yeah, so they can say true story. Yeah, they go. If it's 20% of fact. So if it's a name and a place. There we go, true story.
True story, yeah.
Like The Conjuring and things like that. You can go, it's based on a true story. So I think it was very much like based on that. But apparently it was about the screenwriter's own experiences. So I was looking on I think it's the Wikipedia page. So it says the film's screenplay was inspired by the mysterious events that allegedly took place at the Henry Treat Rogers mansion in Cheeseman Park, Denver, Colorado, while playwright Russell Hunter was living there during the 1960s. After experiencing a series of unexplained phenomena, Hunter said he found a century-old journal in a hidden room detailing the life of a disabled boy who was kept in isolation by his parents. During a séance, he claimed the spirit of a deceased boy directed him to another house where he discovered human remains and a gold medallion bearing the dead boy's name. Henry Treat Rogers, a wealthy Denver attorney, was childless, but prior inhabitants of the house remain undocumented. The mansion was demolished during the 1980s and was replaced with a high-rise apartment building. So, not too dissimilar.
No.
Whether you believe it or not, whether he just went, it's all real.
Does that make Nightmare on Elm Street based on a true story?
Oh, I think so, yeah, definitely.
Because it's based, Wes Craven, a news story, wasn't it, about students?
Yeah, there was some weird janitor or somebody who lived nearby with a stripy jumper.
And then he read the story about some students doing sleep therapy. And
and they died, and they couldn't fall asleep, and so they died.
Can you imagine that? Nightmare on Elm Street, based on a true story.
Yeah.
Changes the whole premise.
There's a child killer, he's after me. But yeah, so he says it's real, but it happened to him personally.
Yeah.
So, and I guess no one else can corroborate something like that really, unless he, ask my wife or my partner or this person.
Because my mate Steve Tooney, we've talked about Changeling. He's had similar supernatural kind of encounters and stuff. And I also think it plays Sarah. Another reason why she hates ghost stuff. Yeah, because she does not buy into it at all. Similar to what you just said.
Yeah.
It's very much like, oh, really? You just move, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know,
just move out.
If somebody was rocking your bed like that, you just get up and go, wouldn't you? You know, you go around to your mum's. What
would keep you there?
Yeah, why would you stay there? So that premise it loses on her. But I think people who kind of like that. Yeah, I like a good ghost story. I like a good.
But to be fair, I think with him, because of the tragedy of losing a child, what I've described just there from the writer is not unlike the actual. No. Everything that occurs in the film. There is a conspiracy about a child, a sickly, disabled child that a large kind of company man had. He's like, he's a land baron or something like that. Owns a lot of money, has a lot of influence, and he's worried about getting inheritance for something.
Yes.
So he decides to drown his disabled son in the bath very violently. Probably
doesn't think his son will reach an age that things.
It's 21, isn't it?
21,
yeah. He needs him to reach the age of 21 in order for it to pass on
for the inheritance. Yeah, and he doesn't, because of his disability.
Yeah,
doesn't think he'll reach 21.
Yeah, he's disabled and he's sickly, and and then he goes. Apparently, the boy goes to Europe and is supposedly cured, and comes back and inherits the money. However, he was replaced by a child from another orphanage who is said to be the son, who replaces the son effectively. Because they don't know what the son looks like because he's been locked away in this room. They have no idea. So they go, oh, look, he's so much better. He's here now. Why wouldn't they believe that? So it's all based on greed. And he even says that at the end, he's like, this is the worst bit of kind of secrets.
And the morality thing with George C. Scott's character is like, all the time that the guy saying, you're trying to bribe me, went, I'm not. No. This is about getting the truth.
Yeah, the truth.
It's all about the truth. No money. And in the end, he just kind of, don't want anything.
Yeah.
Just, this is the truth.
He doesn't even call the police. No. He doesn't let them know. The police are involved somewhat, but that's on the behest of Carmichael. He's called Carmichael, isn't he? Yeah. But he's like, he could, we're not entirely sure what Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph.
We're not entirely sure what he really wants, but I think his connection, he uses John, so George C. Scott's character, as a reference point, because clearly he's lost a child. He's the only person in the house. He's the only person he can communicate with. Because there's the music box.
Yes.
The music he finds in the attic, he's already composed this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've never heard this piece of music before. I've never heard that music box until I'd written this piece and recorded it. Like, how could I possibly know that? So I think there is some elements of like things being put in his head. Like I think there's a few of the details later on he kind of jumps to, and he goes, oh, it's this person, that person, connects a few dots a little too quickly. But I go back to, a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't really work out, and there's jumps in logic. And I go, well, no, because we've seen that the ghost has put stuff in his head.
Yes.
So I think there's other stuff he can, and he experiences and sees things as well. He sees the murder as it is. He sees visions.
Yeah. And you got the worst historian in the world helping him.
Tell him about the worst historian.
The worst historian in the world can only go back 50 years.
I went back 50 years.
Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened in 50 years. Yeah, but the house, you all mentioned at the beginning, the house was built in 18-something.
Yeah,
so
it's been over 100 years. Yeah. So maybe go back a little bit further.
The dust in the spare room's been there.
Did she say that there was no records?
Yeah.
So maybe that woman in the office who's going, the house doesn't want you to live there because she's in the employ. She's part
of the conspiracy.
She's part of the conspiracy with Carmichael as well. Yeah. So maybe she's like, I've got him somewhere, and I guess
you get the impression as well at the end of the movie when all the truths come out that even Carmine was unaware.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Yeah.
Because he has this kind of little kind of breakdown, doesn't he, when he's looking at stuff?
Yeah, and he's seeing things.
Even he's not. Is this true?
Yeah.
Am I not the heir? Was that? So
how could my father do such a thing? It's my father.
Yeah, he was a good man. He did a lot, lots of charity.
Was he though?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
But again, like he'll have been indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Because the kid must have been like 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's had a life prior to being adopted, so he would kind of remember. He's a very old man now.
Yeah.
But there's kind of something there where he's like, I'm not quite sure, and that's why I wasn't really. It was interesting that it was like. Most of these films would be like, right, we'll get the police involved, get him arrested, but literally all the George C. Scott wants is the truth to come out.
Yes. Yeah.
He says he wants to admit, this is the life you've lived, you had a good life, but it was based on a lie. The whole thing was based on your father was a liar, a murderer, and he did this to maintain the power, influence, and money that he had.
Yeah.
And to carry that legacy on. And he wouldn't have had that because he had the sickly child. It's kind of a bit like a kind of Henry VIII type thing, isn't it?
Very much so.
You want the heir, and you'll do anything to get the heir.
He just hands over all the evidence.
Yeah.
You do with it as you will, kind of stuff. If you want to ignore it,
because that's what you think. They think, oh, he's going to blackmail me. I'm going to lose everything.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to the
he
police.
says like, how much will it cost? I've dealt with you people before because you've not dealt with anyone like me before.
No.
Kind of.
And that's it.
Just the truth.
He goes,
That's it.
and he goes, I've done what I can do, and I found that really interesting because it could be like. Because really, like, it can't take revenge on him because he doesn't really know.
No.
Like,
I
he
think
didn't
he says
do it.
That, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't really...
He's like, I can't kill him. Even if Joseph wants that, I can't kill him because...
He's almost an unwitting part.
An unwitting part of it,
all,
yeah.
So.
And he's, and I think he comes to that realization at
Yes,
the end.
I think so, yeah.
And that's why he kind of has the starts seeing things and everything,
And the medal, the two medals.
Yeah, the two medals start to shake.
Medal.
Yeah, and I think Joseph's voice is quite effective. Like you were saying, that scene with the recording because they're listening back to the. Well, let's talk about the seance actually because I really like the seance, and then that follows
yeah, because the seance they bring. He basically goes to a university to ask, and this scientist says, 99% of the people coming here fake.
Yeah,
they no.
Yeah,
but there is one. And he goes, right, let's do it then.
Yeah, like 1%. He says 1%.
1%. Yeah. So this woman, this guy go into the property. They set like recording equipment up and paper and a pen, and they're just asking questions. But as they're doing it, the woman's scribbling. So she's scribbling, and then when she asks the questions, is yes or no or not, she writes it, and he the I think it's
assistant
or
husband
takes the paper and goes no, and then puts it down. As the sounds goes on, the scribbling gets more and more and more. And help, and it's getting more, and she's getting a little bit kind of hard to get up with it and stuff. And I like the scribbling. It's like manic, isn't it? It's
really
proper
effective.
Manic.
It's really effective.
I've never seen the seance done like that.
Yeah,
really,
I preferred
really
it though.
Yeah,
I preferred it. I really, I would love to see that or something along those lines again, like something similar.
And then they do that a little bit, and then they do like a second. They put a glass of water and like a metal towery thing what shakes.
Was that what it was? I just thought it was like this cylinder with a point.
Yeah, it was shaking. They didn't explain what it was, but it was shaking when they asked questions. But that's when the POV thing comes out because you see that it comes down the steps and goes in and kind of watches it. And then that one's it's a little bit more kind of traditional, shall we say? Does the glass move? Does the thing move?
Yeah.
Again, there's a big kind of jump in that. But then
was the glass on top of that thing?
No, it was at the side.
Right, I see.
So that was shaking,
and then it flies,
and then it stopped shaking, and the glass flew off, and shattered against it. So that stopped. Almost like an energy.
I kind of wish they'd explained that more.
Yeah,
because I didn't really get what that was. Because I was like, okay, there's a thing there, and it's just moving. I
think the pointy thing is about energy.
Yeah,
it's almost like a lie detector type thing.
Yeah, but I think I could have done with just a little bit of like, because I got like it's very clear with the paper what's going on.
Paper's really good.
Yeah, it's really really good.
She's almost possessed.
Yeah,
she's doing like scribbling.
I do like the guys like. When he's reading it out, he's going, she's like, oh, are you there, Joseph? Why did you die in this house? How did you die? All this sort of stuff. And then he'll pull the paper away and he'll go, no.
Yeah, very calm.
Yes. No. And it just kind of bath. Bath. And it's like, I found that quite funny as well because it was just like this really like
he's dead chilled, isn't he? I've been
yes.
I've done these many times before, and this is what I do.
But obviously there's all this sound going off, all the wind and all the effects and stuff, so he's kind of shouting over that as well.
And then so that finishes, and then George C. Scott's character sits down, and he's listening to the tape, and he's going backwards and forwards, and he's listening to it, and you hear the scribbling, and you hear he goes, are you there? And you hear, yes. Yeah, hang on, that's not.
Yeah.
And then you hear the man go, yes!
Yeah.
Hands the paper across. Yeah, reads it back, plays it again. Yes. Plays it back. Plays it. And then he ends up listening to the whole thing. And as he's doing that, he's writing down. That's where he gets the Carmine and all this kind of stuff.
I also love the analog aspect of it. That he's got his like stop, click, rewind, play, stop, click, rewind, play, stop, click, rewind, play, and he's doing it at such speed.
Yes,
and it makes it. Oh, it's just so effective.
Click, again, it's sound, isn't it?
It's like click, clack, click,
and then
play,
at the end,
click, clack, click, play.
The tape comes off and he's looking at his piece of paper, shaking, he's sweating.
Oh, he's been up all night, hasn't he? He's just
completely,
because he sees that triggers the vision, the first vision of the boy drowning, of Joseph being drowned by his dad.
Generally, he's knackered with it, isn't he? With doing it all, but it's just so well acted. He looks like a guy who's been up all night.
Yeah. And he collapses. The woman Trish DeVere, and he fall like, and that's that's genuine. Like that's a, I tend not to like it when people are like, oh, I feel faint. Oh, it's very. But I believed him because he looked. Yeah, he woke up. He looked really unwell.
And the way he walks to the phone as well. He's like he's. It's almost like he's kind of ingested all this kind of energy from the tapes and stuff and all this kind of. And it's really taken a toll on him. And plus, he's also he's probably not eating because of his because his daddy mentioned about
he's an older guy as well.
Are you looking after yourself? Because your wife's not around, kind of. But no, the seance is great. I think the seance is fab.
Oh, so good. It's one of the highlight. I think again, any of the haunting kind of elements, any of those scenes where there's a haunting involved.
How loud! It's again the scratching, the pen. You hear the pencil.
Yeah.
More than you hear anything else until they speak.
Yeah.
So that the scribbling, because she scribbles until there's something said.
And again, she repeats the question, so you know what the questions are.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter kind of what she's saying after a point. Once you've heard those questions repeated 2 or 3 times, and you hear the pencils, you're listening, you're looking for the answer, and you're listening for the answer from the assistant husband. Which is more interesting. And then when you come back, you can hear the scratching on the recording as well. And again, it's like, Joseph, Daddy, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, you're haunting.
I know, right? Scary stuff. But yeah, and again, the effect on the kind of the objects, we see the doors. But I think one of the most kind of like holy shit moments is where she comes over. Trish DeVere comes over. She can hear John in there. It's almost like he's babbling or talking to someone. She's like John, and then she hears noise upstairs, and it's almost something out of like Psycho or something, because all of a sudden it could be like, you could look at that and say this is ridiculous.
Yes,
like, you could be laughable. But the way it's presented, the music, the atmosphere, the intention, this wheelchair comes to life and starts trying to mow her down. And again, it's this like web covered, proper. Like it's on the poster and the cover of the DVD. It's very iconic, and it just goes for her like full pelt, full speed, and she's running. You get to see kind of a POV shot of it's like the boy is in the chair almost, and he's going hell for leather trying to get her, and she kind of falls down the stairs and stuff. But that's the closest I said earlier, to a jump scare.
Yes.
But it is very much like, holy shit, this is going big. And then I think at that point is the kind of finale. It kind of
speeds up from that.
Yeah, it kind of ramps up.
I think
to
my favourite
11.
scene is when all the doors shut. All the doors are open in the property, and he's done his best now. He's got the evidence. He's tried to tell Carmine kind of what's going on. Goes back to that, and obviously Joseph's not happy. So he basically slams every single door.
Yeah,
and the camera shows every door shutting, but he's like that.
Yeah, boom, 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 boom.
All the way
like
upstairs.
Machine gun fire.
John's like, what do you want me to do? I've done what else do you want me to do? So he feels he's doing the best to try to kind of get peace for the child.
Exactly.
But I love everything. And again, simple. Yeah. Someone just pulling a piece, shutting a door.
Bam, 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 bam. And again, just great editing. Great editing to put it
every
together.
Every single door.
Boom, 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 boom.
And the house is massive, so it goes around the house really quickly. Again, bashing your senses.
And again, I think it was like, was it a real house or was it a set?
Real house, no, real house.
It was a set. I think, did they make an extension? I think something like that.
Yes, they built on top of it. And they built the back.
And
they also built rigs for certain things.
Of course,
and stuff,
but yeah, we get to the kind of the finale of the film. The Joseph's still angry. I think basically Joseph wants vengeance.
Yes.
From my opinion, I think Joseph wants somebody else to die, someone else to pay for what has happened, the crime.
And John thinks Joseph kind of just wants closure.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I
Yeah.
think he wants revenge.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he gets. And I think at the end he goes, right, he's not going to do anything for me. He's aware. Carmichael's now aware of this horrible wrong that's been done. Kind of accepts it. Kind of understands it. And then we get this amazing. Is it the wind starts blowing and it starts blowing them down and George C. Scott's trying to get up the stairs, and Trish DeVere's blown away, and he gets up the stairs.
He gets as close
to the stairs, and then he gets blown through the stair banister, falls down again, and tries to get up again. But then we see all this, it goes again to 11. And the banister just starts slowly catching fire, and it's real gradual as well, nice and slow. And it's not like it's blazing; it's not like covered in gas flame. It's just like one little trickle all the way around. It's slowly, and then eventually we're at the same time we're seeing the Carmichael in his office, looking at the medallion, saying, "Is it real? What's going on? Who am I?"
Looking at a painting of his dad.
Looking at the medallion, looking at the other medallion, looking at all the facts and figures, everything that John's found within the kind of research he's done. Like we said, he was sent to another house. Oh, drop my phone. What am I like? Sent to another house, and he finds that the boy was buried in a well on another property that was built over, almost a year after.
Carmine's property.
Yeah, a Carmichael property, and he digs it up. He basically just says, "I'm gonna have to dig up your kitchen."
That scene with the kids amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think there's kids out there now, people that have seen this at your age that remember the boy in the floor.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
simple again,
basic.
Yeah,
just this. Yeah, just like a little boy in underwater going like that, but it works.
Yeah, so good.
And again we get, and then going back to the finale of the film, we see this flaming thing. We see Carmichael's shaking. He's convulsing the table. The medallion spinning. It's like my medallion,
and that's
my medallion, my medallion.
That's my only criticism is that it gets a bit confusing. Where he is? Is he in the house? Is he in his office? Is he still there?
Yeah.
Has
the time changed? Is he now been teleported here? Or is it an astral projection?
It kind of answers it at the end.
Yeah.
But at the time you're thinking, how's he got to the house?
Yeah.
Is he walking upstairs?
Yeah.
Where's John?
How's John?
They gone?
And how's John? Has John got to? It looks like from right at the end, just right at the end, it looks like the fire has happened and engulfed the house. And that Carmichael is back at the office, but they've gone to the office. Yes. I think that's a way to confirm that it's over for John and Trish Van Devere character, to confirm that has happened. But I don't think you necessarily needed that. I think they could have just watched the house burn, and that was the end for them.
But it's proper closure, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's what it's.
Yeah,
I think even though there's a bit of ambiguity in the end, there is
right at the end. Yeah,
ambulances go off with the blanket. You know that's finished.
Yeah.
House is in flames, that's finished. And he's homeless. But I think he's found love.
Yeah. And
then
the music box opens.
Yeah.
And plays again next to the wheel, because the wheelchair's still there.
Yeah, wheelchair's still there.
I think does the wheelchair move a little bit? I
can't remember.
I think the wheelchair might.
I know
move.
that the box opens slowly.
And plays the music.
It clicks into place, and that tune starts playing again. So, da-dun.
But but we get so it's kind of a little vague where Carmichael is, because it looks like, so when John's seen the burning, banister, seeing all the winds blowing, he starts seeing Carmichael in his red cardigan or whatever it is, shawl, or dressing gown, whatever he's wearing, going patiently, slowly up these stairs, and the whole house is starting to burn. And it's almost like he's aware of what's happened. He's going along with he's accepted it. He's accepted that this is the end for me. He's had this life of luxury. He's got to go. This is something that has to happen. And again, he goes all the way. I think he goes all the way to the attic.
I think so.
Does he go into the room?
In the attic, he gets to the room.
Because the ceiling's starting to burn and come down and stuff. But again, you're still seeing him in the office shaking. And obviously that leads to his death, and he's taken out by the ambulance. But yeah.
But it's in at the ending. It's very interesting if you look at kind of, again, films around that era.
Yeah,
it's almost like they need to get one more scare, one more thing, and you get the carry. At the end of that.
That's true. Yeah,
it's almost like
little teaser,
little tiny bit at the end. But the old man, little kid looking at the camera. I remember listening to the director, Donna, saying, don't smile, and the kid smiled.
Yeah.
He went, that worked. We'll keep that, because he knows.
Yeah.
He knows that you know that we know that he knows. So that's...
It's a cheeky smile.
Yeah.
He's going, don't smile,
Yeah,
don't smile, don't smile.
Yeah, and he does, but it works really well. So it's almost like, again, a bit of a trope of this late 70s, early 80s kind of horror.
There was
at the very end.
Again, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, that little moment at the end where you think it's finished.
Halloween, there's no body.
Yeah.
There's all that. There's always the possibility of
and
more.
how often do we see that now?
Constant.
Every movie now.
Any movie, any franchise movie.
If it doesn't
there's
finish
always
at the end, you watch the credits, and at the end of the credits,
there'll be a tease for something. There's a tease for this, tease for that.
So again, without these movies like The Changeling, Exorcist, almost like the modern horror movies, the
franchises, the big franchises, the expanded universes. It wouldn't be anything without these kind of little elements.
And you know what? It also, I think, speaks volumes. Fact, it's never been remade.
Yes,
it's not been remade.
Yeah.
They've not rebooted it.
Yeah,
they've not done anything to it at all. I know it. I know.
Watch this space. Well, I bet the second we say this,
the director owns the the movie. It's his.
Okay.
So he owns every aspect of it.
Yeah. So it can't be remade.
Yeah. So unless he says so.
Bit like Back to the Future. They kind of partly own it.
Yeah. They. So
that's why they did the musical. They couldn't do a remake. So
yeah.
to do a
musical. And I think if you look at the credits, it states something to do with that on there, but without his permission, they're never going to be able to do it. And I think that's refreshing.
Yeah,
as well.
I think that's good though.
I don't think they could ever do that again. No,
it'd be a very different film.
Yeah. Angelina Jolie's in it, directed by Clint Eastwood.
What a remake!
You want it different?
Yeah, that is quite different. But that's the whole thing. Is that's how it links to that film? Is that the idea of a changeling was that kids? It's a myth where fairies would impersonate kids and replace them and like feed off their parents or something like that.
So he's the changeling.
Yeah. But it happened in real life as well. There was situations where children would be replaced with others, and then I'm not sure how it works if there's a ransom.
I think I was replaced.
Would you?
I don't think my family.
You're not related to them at all.
No.
I mean, they wouldn't show you all this scary stuff, would they? If they were.
Yeah, but I must admit, my kind of stuff is always. I used to sit on the stairs at my house and listen to my mum and her friends tell ghost stories. And that was my kind of...
Yeah.
It was, that Hammer, this sort of stuff.
That was your jam.
Yeah, I used to sit on the stairs, used to sneak down, been sent to bed, so used to sneak down, sit on the stairs, and listen to them tell ghost stories and things and stuff like that.
Amazing.
Used to go to bed, shit my pants. But that was that's why I've always liked this. And that's why I kind of believe a little bit.
Yeah.
I like to believe in the supernatural. I like to believe that. And I do think there's an element that you do need to believe to buy into these movies. You need to believe there's maybe something out there. Maybe some.
I mean, it's the unexplained, and it will always remain the unexplained because we can't explain it. Like I've seen, like when I worked at Alton Towers, we went on a ghost walk underneath the towers and everything. All this kind of, there's a lot of history to it, and there's a lot of, there's potential. There's something there. It was in pitch blackness, but again, it was just like, oh, did you hear that? No. Oh, I've got an energy. I'm feeling an energy. Oh, that's very negative. That. Oh,
that energy's
you feel that? I feel that. I think that's old little Gregor. Old little Gregor. Oh yeah, he's a little bastard. Oh, I tell you, he did some evil things, and it's just like I don't believe any of this. It's all bullshit. Yeah. But then there was there was a guy there who's like, no, I believe all this because when I was in high school, we told, we summoned the devil and candles jumped to the ceiling, flames jumped to the ceiling and stuff, and I was like, you're scaring me more than any of this.
Yeah,
I'm worried about you. And what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I do believe in ghosts. I believe in like aliens. Not so sure about any of the other kind of supernatural stuff. I think I like to kind of believe there's something after. I'm probably agnostic. I think I'm somewhere on the fence. I think when it comes to
you're gonna come back as a slug.
I'm gonna come back as a prick, a right prick, unless I already am one.
I've literally got a book on the shelf there, Welsh horror stories.
Yeah.
And last week, me and Amy and Sarah sat down there in the dark, and I had a torch, and I told horror stories.
Nice,
stories,
amazing.
And I think that's lost.
Yeah,
people don't do shit like that anymore.
It's the storytelling element.
Yeah, this film is very much a storytelling.
Yeah,
it's very much a story being told.
Yeah,
it's not in your face. It's not horror by numbers.
No.
It's a proper movie. I think
And it's a gradual telling of that story as well. It's
Yeah,
not like
it's a proper-
it's not like, oh, we find this bit of evidence that links back. It's not a kind of a Tarantino-esque kind of mystery. Like, I have that bit of evidence, but what does that link to? It links back to the beginning, and it's not Memento or anything like that.
Like I said earlier, it's not just a good horror movie. It's a good film. It's a good movie.
Yeah, in
And
general.
you know, a lot of the genre movies, they're good in that genre, but it's not. It's a good movie. A bit like The Exorcist was a good movie. People who weren't in The Exorcist and stuff like watched it.
Yeah.
Probably that night. Batman one. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, good movie because it's espionage and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't really fit. It's a good old movie, and this is the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I think personally, this is why I don't get into the ghost stuff, because there is the most haunted bullshit, and like Derek Acorah going, oh yeah, someone's farted over here. I can feel it, the warmth. Oh, can you feel it? Oh yeah. No, that's the cameraman.
How bloody dare you?
That's fucking cameraman, mate.
What about the Halloween special on BBC One?
Oh, whatever. Whatever. Oh, you mean like Ghost Watch?
Ghost
and all
Watch,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's fictional, isn't it?
Do you not believe it?
I tell you what, maybe we
People
should
did.
maybe we should do Ghost. Maybe we could do Ghost Watch next year.
People
talk about
did.
Ghost
People
Watch.
believed
Yeah.
Ghost Watch. There were complaints.
Well, it was like a War of the Worlds type thing, wasn't it? People
very much so.
who were bought into that
And
radio
it was,
play.
It was fronted by people who were respected.
Parkinson.
Yeah,
Parkinson.
Parkinson's well respected, sir. And he goes, oh, my voice has changed.
Oh, a bit ghosty.
I'm
bit
not
ghosty.
Yorkshire now.
But you know what I mean? There's a lot of that crap out there.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people going, ooh, ghosts. Ooh, I think this is a ghost. And I that's what I hate about it. Like, I hate that type of shit. Where it's like, I used to, you know, what I really used to enjoy. BBC Three did a comedy, and it was called High Spirits with Shirley Ghostman.
Yes,
and I bloody love that because it's a very very invisible theatre, very much like Ali G or The Day Today or Brass Eye. And it's just, and he's just he's a dickhead, and I love how much of a dickhead he is. And you know, he meets skeptics and there's various other things, and he channels Lady Di, he channels Colonel Sanders, you know, all this sort of weird and wacky shit. I think it's hilarious. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. It's funny. I've got the DVDs, but it's funny stuff. He did My New Best Friend as well for Channel 4. He's in the Nativity films as well. That guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's good at being an annoying prick.
He shouldn't be in the Nativity movies. He should never get a job.
No, you don't think?
No, he shouldn't be in charge of those children.
Probably
Just saying.
not after those two things.
But it's a good point.
Yeah.
With it. And I think that's why you need to buy into stuff.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of crap.
I think it's the real world crap, you know, the reality crap.
It's you know, I feel is there a D is there a GD present? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 7? You know someone called D. He's here with us now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the kind of like that sort of.
Did you once have a cat, dog, horse, a cat, mouse?
I remember my dad said I think we'd had a passing in the family. I think our dog had died, and then there was my grandmother had died, and he was like, let's go have a read. My dad's kind of into holistic medicines and things like that, but he's also a man of science, and I won't go into it.
I'm sorry, when you said we had a dog that died, I'm thinking, is the dog going to talk? Again, when we had a family member. Oh, right, okay.
Again, not Shirley Ghostman. That's one of the jokes of Shirley Ghostman. It was like, the first time I communed with the spirits, I spoke to my dog Sheba, and they said, I've got to pass on. So I took all the pieces of buckaroo, shoved it up her bum. She died. And then I think it was a horseshoe that did it. Something like that. It's fucking stupid. It's stuff like he gets the couples in. I fucking love High Spirits. Really goes brilliant. It gets the couples in, and he goes, "Who do you think's going to die first?" And they point at each other and be like, "You're right." It's like things like that. And there's like I'm getting an image of a daughter going, "I'll suck some cock for smack." Like things like that. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, I think that was again. It's my reticence for not liking or enjoying these ghost films.
I agree 100%.
But I think I'm going to try and like get out of my comfort zone a bit and watch a few more and try and like some of the better well-known ones and some of the lesser well-known.
Are you going to do it for crack or just...
I'm definitely going to do it. I'll do it for free. Right. Anyway, this is an excellent movie. Regardless, if you like ghost stories, or if you don't like ghost stories, if you like a good thriller, if you like a good mystery,
just a good film.
You like a good film.
Just watch a good film allegedly set over Halloween
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's very barely referenced to.
Fantastic,
but it's still
acting.
good. Still counts.
Proper old school actors doing what they're good at doing.
Yeah.
Watch this movie.
And again, it's calling back to those old classics, The Haunting.
And if you don't, when I die, I will visit you.
I like The Haunting. That the famous, most scary scene in The Haunting is the banging door.
Yeah, Haunted's great.
It's just a banging door, though. That's all it is. It's as simple as that, but it's the way you present that idea, the way you present the atmosphere that just sells.
Have a double bill, Haunting and then Changeling.
Maybe that sounds like a good idea. All right, well, I think we've covered it. I think we've
covered it in all sorts of stuff.
in all sorts of ways.
Now looks like
every
Plaster's radio.
ectoplasm everywhere. Oh, there's ectoplasm.
Oh, get it
got
off
it all
me,
over
get
me.
it off me.
Got it up the curtains, down the walls. Oh, it's all over
Why
me.
is it green?
Oh no! I've been slimed. Right, well, that's been absolute filth today. I hope you enjoyed that. But again, you know where to find Dennis on the social medias. You know,
My name.
Oldham Comic Con, all that sort of stuff. You know, you'll find him. I'll tag him. I'll tag him.
Find me and I'll probably just ignore you.
Yeah, probably. It depends. He's quite nice, but
Quite
don't get on the
nice.
wrong side of Dennis, because he is a fierce dragon that you don't want to mess with.
There was definitely flames coming at me last night in that toilet, I'm telling you.
That tells a lot about our diets, doesn't it? So many personal details you're getting today, guys. I hope you're enjoying all this. But yeah, so find me on @SecretBalls on Facebook, @Dan_, on Twitter, Instagram, SpiderDan Secret Balls. Podcast available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, many, many more. If you'd like to donate towards the podcast, you can buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com/SpiderDan and the Secret Balls. And if you'd like to interact with us, don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle. I've been Dan.
And I've been Dennis.
Goodbye.
Bye.